Hello guys, my name is Kendra Powell and I would like to share a video presentation with you guys here at East Columbus High School. And we want to focus on the roadmap of need today and the public school forum issues that are relevant in today's educational system and how they relate to our curriculum and instruction development at our school. The first thing we want to talk about is the roadmap of need. The roadmap of need is an in-depth need assessment for North Carolina's youth. It is produced annually by the Public School Forum of North Carolina Center of After School Programs. So I found the roadmap of need to be very interesting. It's out of 100 counties in North Carolina. I only picked two for the sake of time. I want to compare New Hanover County and versus Columbus County. Now, Columbus County is where our school, East Columbus, is located. Wilmington is the major metropolitan city located in New Hanover County. So basically, Wilmington versus Columbus County. They're 35 miles apart, very close in location or distance, but they're vastly different in the health rankings, and that's what I really want to lift up here. And if we pull up a chart that I devised quite nicely, I'm going to share the screen here, and we want to pull up the roadmap need, and I'll show you the differences in the two counties. If we look here at the top left-hand corner, we have the health rankings. We have New Hanover County, and then we have Columbus County. Now, New Hanover County is ranked number 1 as the healthiest county in North Carolina. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm only 35 miles. I'm only 35 minutes from being the healthiest that I could be in North Carolina. That I was just ecstatic about that. But then I said, over here in Columbus County, where I stay and where the school's located, we're 91 out of 100. That was a little disheartening. And then in terms of childhood obesity, New Hanover County is 16, whereas we're 84. And when we talk about how this information relates to curriculum development and instruction, in the sense we could say that we maybe could take some field trips over to New Hanover County and visit their school systems and see the lesson plans that are being followed, see how their PE courses look and their health courses, because I am a proud health and physical education instructor at my school, and I would love to know what they're doing differently as opposed to what we're doing here. And one of the things that I know that I must instill in my students is how to eat healthy and why we should eat healthy. Not just telling them how, but tell them why and why we should exercise. Also, if we look at the graduation rate, is 64 for New Hanover County, 84% for Columbus. If we look down here for economic development, the median household income was $47,000 for New Hanover County. That's almost $50,000 versus $31,000. You might as well say round it off to $50,000 versus $30,000, and that's another reason that the more money we have, the easier it is to eat healthy, but the most unhealthiest foods are cheaper. So that's another disparity and inequality that comes into play that we must be aware of. It may be a community garden. How can we get our kids to start eating vegetables? Maybe we can grow them and have a community garden. Unemployment rate 18 versus 85. That's another disparity, and it's really disheartening because a lot of our kids are struggling because their parents don't have jobs. And how can they eat healthy when they don't have the money to eat healthy? And that's another thing that comes into play. But I really like this roadmap of need because it kind of helped me see that, hey, we're only 35 minutes from the healthiest county in North Carolina. I think we need to take a field trip there. So as we move along to the public school forum issues, we want to talk about the public school forum, and let's just go ahead and pull this up before I start talking. Okay. Documents. Time I'm looking at my time. Not bad. Documents, we want to find keep color. Here we go. So the public school forum has been around since 1986, and the key purpose is to be an advocate for schools, to speak the truth to power, to conduct evidence-based research, and inform and shape the educational policies. Mr. Keith Poston is the forum president and executive director. He's pictured to the left. And then here on the right, you have the African American guy, James E. Ford. He's a North Carolina former Teacher of the Year. These guys came up with an annual list, and they presented it to 225 businesses, education, and government leaders. And they were talking about the top 10 issues in education. And I found it to be very, very interesting. And some of the things that I wanted to point out, I did like a little call out video, and it says North Carolina's average principal pay ranks 50 out of 51 states. So, and they're including the District of Columbia. That's why they said 51. I said, oh my goodness. So they're down at the very bottom, not the top, not the bottom 10 or the bottom 5, but the very bottom for principal pay. And that is just wow. Then it says North Carolina ranks 44 out of the 50 states for the per pupil spending in 2015-2016. And that means the money that they're spending on each individual student. 44 out of 50, again, that's the bottom 10. So they're not spending a whole lot on the students. And then the other thing that we want to talk about is the 52% of teachers have a second job, the third highest rate in the country. We have to go to school just like everyone else. We had to go to school 4 years. Some of us have acquired master's degrees. They went to school for 6 years. And why is it that we have to get a second job? Because we're not getting paid enough versus the next man or woman that has went to school and acquired a degree. They don't have to have a second job. Why can't they raise the pay for teachers? And that's another thing that comes into play when we speak about curriculum instruction and how it relates to developing the curriculum and so on. We're not here for the money. And I've often heard people say, well, I'm not here for the money, I'm in it for the students. I'm here for the students as well. But we cannot be here for the students and show up and be effective if we can't keep our lights on and the water running, and we have to work so hard and just tire ourselves out with second and third jobs. Whereas if the pay was increased, then we probably could be more effective teachers. We'd be happier for one, and we'd be able to sustain ourselves. And we will be able to maybe purchase paper or pencils for our students, which I'm not saying paper or pencils. I'm being modest. I'm just using that as an example. But 52% of teachers have to have a second job. That's over half of us. The highest rate in the country. I was very disappointed in that. And I believe it because I teach in one of the most rural areas in Columbus County. And like I said, the average median household, you see where Wilmington is almost 50,000 and Columbus is 30,000. So then we get to the meat of it. So what should be done with information to the so what of it? Let's close out of this. So what should be done with information to better prepare students to support a vibrant community? In North Carolina, we talk about race and poverty and education, but what about trauma? I found that article to be very interesting. And oftentimes I've seen the children come in my class, just, it looks like all hope is gone. I mean, it looks like if you say boo, they're going to cry. And then sometimes they may come in totally opposite from one extreme to the other, really sad or either really angry and mad. And if I say, hello, how are you doing? They may not speak. Or they may get an attitude, or they may seem, belligerent. But I know that if it just got there, it has nothing to do with me because they just met me or they just got to school, and I realized it may be something, um, in their background. And that's what this article speaks to is we have to find a way. We've been talking about that, and it seems to be a recurring theme, and it keeps coming up about how we have to find a way to reach these children, and we must get to know their background because every child has a story. Every child has a background. Some come from broken homes. Some may be traumatized. Some may be suffering from emotional disorders, physical limitations. We don't know. So it's up to us to find out what's going on with these kids and where we can reach them and the best way that we can help them. And that's very important. So I also find that's the so what of it. Basically, what should be done with this information to better prepare students to support a vibrant community. Well, in order for them to go out and support the community, they must be healthy themselves and they must feel as if we must feel like we care, because we do, and that's what we're here for. But I found this information to be very interesting, and it was reader friendly. It was easy to read, easy to digest. A lot of times we get information, and it's like, well, some of this is not in this class, but you're like, some of this is boring. I'm trying to read out the most important. The information is not important, but everything that I got, it was like I was soaking it up and processing it, and I could relate and everything. And I just dug into it, and I was like, well, wow, this these are good articles, and I can tell that you know that whoever picked them out, they took their time and they did a really good job picking out reader-friendly, interesting stuff that we can relate to. Well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. All right, that's my time. Thank you. My name is Samantha.